Había algo aquí. Va a haber algo aquí. Si hubiera algo aquí. The verb haber is tricky, but today we're going to conquer it. Welcome back to our Top 10 series, where I show you how to use the top 10 forms of the most common Spanish verbs. Today we're diving back into the verb haber, which is a really tricky but super important verb in Spanish. This is part 2 of our step-by-step breakdown of this verb, so if you haven't seen part 1 yet, make sure to check that out here for the 6 present tense forms. As a quick recap of that video, let's review how haber is used to put other verbs in the past. For example, I have done that. Yo he hecho eso. She has been here. Ella ha estado aquí. They have done all the work. Ellos han hecho todo el trabajo. In each case, the little conjugation of haber, like he, ha, or han, is just there to support the other verb, like hecho or estado. And together this helps us say that something has happened in the past. We also talked about the word I, which doesn't seem like it belongs with the others, but it's actually the number 1 most common form of haber. I is used to talk about existence. For example, there is someone in my house. Hay alguien en mi casa. There are many things here. Hay muchas cosas aquí. Alright, that's the present tense, but now it's time to unlock the rest of the list. We'll start with the word había. Había is a past tense form of haber, and you can use it to put I in the past. So if I means there is or there are, había means there was or there were. Let's look at some examples. Here's a sentence that we used earlier. There is someone in my house. Hay alguien en mi casa. Now let's put it in the past. There was someone in my house. Había alguien en mi casa. Okay, now another one. There are many things here. Hay muchas cosas aquí. Let's put this in the past. There were many things here. Había muchas cosas aquí. One more. There is something else here. Hay algo más aquí. There was something else here. Había algo más aquí. So anytime you would use there was or there were in English, you'll probably use había in Spanish. And just like I, this verb conjugation doesn't refer to any specific person like I or we or you or they. Instead, in technical terms, this is called an impersonal verb. It just tells you that something existed at some point in the past. Let's practice this a bit. I'm going to give you a few sentences in English that use either I or había when translated into Spanish. Try to predict which one before I show the Spanish. And say the answer out loud for the best possible practice. First example, there were a lot of people at the party. Había muchas personas en la fiesta. There are many things there. Hay muchas cosas allí. There was a dog here. Había un perro aquí. There is a dog in the house. Hay un perro en la casa. There were 2 problems with that. Había 2 problemas con eso. Alright, time for the next one. Let's take a look at the infinitive form of the verb, haber. We'll keep this super simple and look at the most common way that this form shows up in real life, in the phrase va a haber. So as you can probably tell, we're using va a to put the verb haber in the future. If you don't know how that works, check out this other video about the verb ir and how you can use it to put other verbs in the future. For now, here's a quick summary of that trick. We can use ir to put any verb we want in the future. For example, she is going to do that. Ella va a hacer eso. He is going to be here. Él va a estar aquí. So now we're going to do the same thing with va a haber. This means there is going to be, or there are going to be. Here are some examples. There is going to be an event here. Va a haber un evento aquí. There is going to be someone else at the party. Va a haber alguien más en la fiesta. There are going to be many problems. Va a haber muchos problemas. Notice that in each case, it's always va a haber, whether the English is there is or there are. Also, here's something a little confusing you'll start to notice if you listen to Spanish. In spoken Spanish, the a in va a haber almost disappears. It's like va and haber just smushed together into one word, va haber. But that's just pronunciation. When you spell it out, the a is always still there. All right, let's get some quick practice with this right now. Try to guess the Spanish out loud. There are going to be a lot of people there. Va a haber muchas personas allí. There's going to be a problem. Va a haber un problema. There is going to be a party tomorrow. Va a haber una fiesta mañana. So whenever you want to say there is going to be or there are going to be, just use va a haber. It's one of the easiest ways to start using haber in real life. All right, next on our list is haya. This is a subjunctive form, and it's kind of tricky, but super important. Haya is used whenever someone wants something to exist, or wants there to be something. Here's a super common sentence structure that uses it. I want there to be a party. Quiero que haya una fiesta. Here's what's happening. So we're not saying that there is a party, that would be I. We're saying, I want there to be a party. And that's where we use haya. Let's break this down in another way. So what we can do is start with any sentence where you would say I. For example, there is someone here. Hay alguien aquí. So that's a simple statement. But if instead I want this to be the case, we'll put quiero que at the beginning, which literally means I want that, and then we'll change I to haya. So we have I want there to be someone here. Quiero que haya alguien aquí. Literally, I want that there be someone here. Here are a few more examples. I want there to be music. Quiero que haya música. I want there to be someone at the house. Quiero que haya alguien en la casa. She wants there to be food. Quiere que haya comida. I want there to be another option. Quiero que haya otra opción. So notice that each time we're talking about the existence of something, but we're not stating it as a fact. Instead, it's an intention or a desire. So that's when we use haya. It's time for you to practice this, and I'm going to give you a tricky quiz here. Your job is to predict whether you need haya or va a haber. Remember, we use haya when we want there to be something, but we use va a haber when there is going to be something, more certainly. Try to fill in the blanks. I want there to be someone there. Quiero que haya alguien allí. There is going to be someone there. Va a haber alguien allí. I want there to be many people there. Quiero que haya mucha gente allí. There are going to be many people there. Va a haber mucha gente allí. I want there to be a good solution. Quiero que haya una buena solución. So you'll use this word haya anytime that you intend for there to be something somewhere. Basically, whenever you intend for something to exist. All right, now we come to the last word on the list, the word hubiera. In technical terms, hubiera is what we call a past subjunctive. It's used most often to express something hypothetical, something that we know isn't true. So why is this so common? Well, let's look at an example in English. If there were more people here, it would be better. So in this sentence, we're not saying that there are more people here, we're just imagining it. We know it's not true, so basically this is a what-if situation. And in Spanish, that's when we would use hubiera. So this sentence becomes, si hubiera más personas aquí, sería mejor. Here's another example. If there were more options, I would choose one. Si hubiera más opciones, escogería una. So once again, we're talking about existence just like we did with I and había. But instead of saying there is or there was, we're basically saying what if there were. Here are a couple more examples. If there were something else here, I would take it. Si hubiera algo más aquí, lo tomaría. If there were time, we would go. Si hubiera tiempo, iríamos. And this might sound really advanced, but it's actually very common in real conversations, especially anytime people are imagining or wishing things were different. So anytime you're speaking English and you catch yourself saying, if there were, remember that in Spanish, that would be si hubiera. Don't worry, I'm not going to quiz you on this one right now. If you want to practice it in real depth, check out lesson 77 of our free course at SpanishVideoCourse.com. That lesson is packed with examples of hubiera that you can practice with. All right, let's review everything we learned in these two videos. Most of the present tense forms of haber are used to put another verb in the past. For example, I have been here. He estado aquí. They have done something. Han hecho algo. But haber has an extra present tense form, hay, which is used to indicate existence. For example, there is something here. Hay algo aquí. For existence in the past tense, you'll use había, as in, there was something here. Había algo aquí. For existence in the future, you can use va a haber. For example, there is going to be something here. Va a haber algo aquí. If you want something to exist, you'll use haya. For example, I want there to be something here. Quiero que haya algo aquí. And finally, if you're saying what if something exists, you'll use hubiera. For example, if there were something here, si hubiera algo aquí. So that covers all 10 of the most important forms of haber, one of the weirdest but most important verbs in all of Spanish. But as a teaser, there are actually more ways to use the forms that we covered in this video. This may sound crazy, but all of the forms that we covered today can actually be used along with other verbs to put those other verbs into complex tenses, like the past of the future or the past of the past. To see how this works and to keep practicing haber to perfection, check out our free course at SpanishVideoCourse.com. This course is a complete system with guided lessons, flashcards, and quizzes that'll make haber and other core Spanish verbs feel totally natural. You can dive into haber at lessons 36, 48, and 77. And each lesson is packed with evidence-based study tools designed to make everything stick. Use the entire course for free at SpanishVideoCourse.com. Meanwhile, subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into Spanish verbs and other grammar and study hacks that'll get you speaking Spanish fluently faster than ever.